Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Lone Oak Farm. It's the first day of autumn and we are currently in our Magnum heading over to our grass field by the sheep, the one that we mowed and baled last time out. We need to give that a good weeding so we can boost it to stage 2 of fertilisation. And we're in the Magnum because obviously we fit skinny wheels to it yesterday. And we kind of need to get that weeding done, so I figured rather than messing around and taking these wheels off and then putting skinnies on the Puma, let's just use the Magnum today for a change of pace. Yeah, because we don't use the Magnum for weeding, really. It's not the sort of tractor you would imagine you would use it for, a tractor that's 400 plus horsepower. You wouldn't use that for just pulling a weeder, but as I say, we needed to use it while we were doing all of our bale work the other day, back at the main farm, and seeing as it still has the skinny wheels on, these dual skinnies, I figured why not, let's take it out for a spin today and do some weeding where we worked yesterday. So we'll get that field weeded, and then beyond that we also have to cultivate our oilseed radish fields. The radishes have grown already. I wasn't expecting them to grow that quickly, and lo and behold, woke up this morning, first day of autumn, and they are ready to go. So we'll get those cultivated as well. And then we'll see what we've got left to do after that. Tomorrow is demo day. Tomorrow is a day that our combine will arrive on demonstration. We'll be able to break that out, give that a run around. So we may possibly do some barley work today with our two 1660s. But having said that, I've been toying with the idea of actually leaving the barley until tomorrow, because the weather's looking as though it's going to be good tomorrow. You can see in the radar top right corner, today should be good now that the initial rain that we had this morning has finished. Is it me, or has this grass grown a stage already overnight? I think it has. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this grass has already grown a stage overnight. Wow. That's caught me a bit by surprise as well. Never mind, we can work with that. But yeah, I think, given that we kind of know roughly how long it took us to work the wheat field, if I pull the map up so we can see what I'm talking about here. These two fields, I mean, they're kind of similar. This one, field 30, is a little bit bigger, but this one has this sort of weirder kink a bit here, which made this a little bit more time consuming, whereas this one is generally a flatter, straighter field, so it'll be a bit easier to work until you get to this little bit around here. But I think we might leave the barley until tomorrow, because it would then give us a really good base for comparison as to how long it took to do this field with two small 1660s compared to doing this field with our demo combine, which is the 7210, I think it is. I think that's the model. 7130, sorry. So that's the model that's turning up tomorrow on demo. And I think I'm going to leave the barley possibly till tomorrow. So we might have a very short day of work today. We might not have that much to do. I don't know. Well, when we get back to the main farm, we'll check as well to see how our crops are progressing growth-wise. See if what our soybeans are looking at, because that might not even be ready tomorrow as well. That was the plan when I leased and arranged for the demo combine to turn up, was that tomorrow we would be doing soybean, and I'm starting to wonder if the soybean's actually going to be ready tomorrow or not. It might not be. So again, leaving the barley for tomorrow means that we don't have a combine that we brought in sitting around doing absolutely nothing for a day. It gives us something to do. So yeah, that'll be curious to see. So the map has been updated now, finally. The update went live on Friday, and it has fixed a couple of issues. There are still a few other little things I think that need to be tweaked and are in the pipeline for a future update. I know one of the things that Bill and the rest of the Frontier testing team were aware of and were putting it on the sort of the to-do list was the fact that any equipment that you buy at the store seems to face towards the fence and not in towards the actual dealership itself. So it makes it quite hard with some of the longer pieces of equipment, especially the trailers and the long cultivators and seeders. It makes it quite tricky to try and get some of those out of there unless you do a reset or really get in at an awkward angle. So that's still to be fixed, but the main points of the update were to fix the terrain angle issue and to improve the fertilizer spray and spray triggers back at the main farm. And then for PC users only, there was an additional issue that was worked on as well, which is fixing some missing texture issues as well. So in terms of the console version, the texture angle was the terrain angle issue. This is the one that's been the really weird thing with the fields. So you've seen that you can plow in any direction, but the furrows would only go one way, and then same with cultivating, and then you fertilize the field, and then all of a sudden it changes into a diagonal angle. That's now been fixed, so now the fields will actually follow the direction that you work. So if you go left to right on a field and then change 90 degrees and go up and down the field, then you'll actually apply whatever it is you're doing to the field in the direction that you're doing it. That is the terrain angle that's been fixed. And then obviously the spray and fertilizer triggers, they're the two sheds right next to our main sort of storage building at the farm. They were a little small in places, especially the sprayer trigger. That was quite tight up against the wall. Those have now been fixed and improved, so I haven't tested those yet, but in theory we should now be able to refill at a distance further away from the building and from the wall. Hopefully we'll actually get the chance to have a look at that later and test that out and see if that is the case. One downside to the update, and I'm not quite sure what's caused this, and I have to say Bill is aware of this issue because he's been told of it in comments on his page, but he doesn't know the reason why this has happened either, is for us guys on console, we seem to have lost around about 200 slots from our slot count as part of the update. I have absolutely no idea why, and neither does Bill. It's something that we're going to have to take up with Giants and see if they can give us an answer as to why that's happened. Maybe it's because of the way the terrain angle is, fixing the terrain angle has eaten up some of those slots. Maybe, I don't know. That would be my guess as to why the slot count has suddenly dropped so dramatically. But yeah, we have lost around about 200 slots, which means we're going to have to be really careful planning out what equipment we want to add to our farm now. Having gone down from over 600 slots to around 400 and something means, yeah, it's now a case of we need to be really careful what we decide we want to bring onto the farm, because especially if we're looking at mods, it's going to start getting quite pricey in terms of those slots, and we don't have anywhere near as many to play around with as we did before. So I mean, I was talking last time out about the possibility of bringing in a big M. You can see if I go to mowers, where are mowers? Here we go. You can see I had over 600 slots. Now I only have 428. So yeah, we have lost around 200 or so mod slots. And if I want to bring in a big M, that's another 22 slots gone. There are some mods out there that are incredible and use up a huge amount of slots. There's the FS17, which now has been updated to have twin wheels and a Challenger paint job. It would be awesome to have one of those in the farm, but I don't think I can, because the slot count is like 54 slots now. Now with all the options. So if I scroll across and have a look, where is the 1050? It's in here somewhere through all the tractors. Here we go. So the 1050, 54 slots to bring one of those onto the farm. That's a lot. That's a huge amount. Now that's 12% of my remaining slots. So I just don't know if I can actually justify, much as I would like to have one of those in Challenger Paint Scheme on the farm, I don't know if I can justify doing that now. I might need those slots somewhere else. And of course, you know, we're going to be bringing in a new combine. The new combine on its own as a base model is only going to cost us 15 slots, but then we need the header. That's an extra few slots. So we're talking, for one of those, we're talking, where is the header? Just here. That's another 10 slots. So now we're up to 25 for the combine. And if we want to have a corn header that's going to fit as well, we're talking probably another, well, there's 2 slots on that one there. But if we have a Capello or, you know, header, which will fold up, that's another 8 slots. So now we're pushing over 30. And then we need a header trailer because, you know, the smaller 35-foot header doesn't have its own trailer built into it like the 45-foot Drapers do. That's another couple of slots, and it all starts to add up. So yeah, we can lose some of the slots that are being used up at the moment by trading in some of the older equipment and replacing it, but it means we're really going to have to be careful with what we want to bring into the farm, you know, going forward, now that we have a reduced amount. So that's something for us to think about, I think, as we're going forward. So just this last little bit of grass here to weed, and then this field is done already. Got that out of the way nice and quickly. Still got the damp crop symbol showing, as you can see, so even if we do want to do some harvesting today, we still have to wait a little bit longer. It's not summer anymore, so it's going to take a little bit longer than it would be earlier in the sort of calendar year for the crops to dry out. But hopefully sort of within the next couple of hours, hopefully by sort of 11 o'clock, then we might actually see some dryness. Now, this is a real struggle to get through here, but there is kind of a cheat. I'm only going to show you just this once, but you can actually just drive straight through the barbed wire fence. I kind of discovered that by accident there. So there is an option to kind of bypass the issue of the gate blocking your way. Obviously, you can't do it over here, and I'm going to end up running over my sheep again if I'm not careful. There we go. Speaking of which, seeing as we're here, we're going to check their food levels. Oops, that is opening. Make sure that they're all looking good and you've got plenty of water, and give them a bit of a tidy up as well. So let's just park that up just there for a second. Yeah, we've got a bit of mess in here, haven't we? So we better tidy that up. Trough is still really nice and full. Actually, we might not be able to put that grass in there. I mean, it'll rot itself away over the course of the day, so if worse comes to worse and we can't fill the trough, we can just leave it on the floor and it'll disappear over time anyway. But let's see if we can at least tidy up. Oh, I wonder if the sheep still bounce all over the place. We've got a few moving around in here. Let's just have a watch for a second. Oh, no, yep, they still bounce. It still makes me chuckle every time I watch that. So maybe that's also on the to-do list for a future update. A little bit more. There we go. So, will the food trough actually accept this? Where the hell did that sheep come from? Oh, it will. There we go. It will go in. Okay, so they have eaten enough to make some space. There we go. Do I need a bale? Let's have a look. No, they're fine. Don't need to give them another bale. So let's just try not to knock over the bale spike there. Excellent stuff. There we go. Right, so Rather than bringing the 1455 out, I'm just going to drive up to the front of the water trailer. Hook it up to the front of the Magnum just so I can empty it. Give them a little top up on the water, might as well. Oh, no, water's fine, so don't need to worry about that either. So our job over here is done. Let's turn around. There we go. Close the shed up. And make our way back to the farm. In fact, actually, while we're up at this area near the dealership, they are open now. Just going to quickly pop in and place an order for a brand new piece of equipment. It's going to take a few days for that to arrive because it's not a piece of case equipment, so we're going to have to get that custom shipped over. But I'll just go and speak to the guys in the parts office and we'll get that ordered. Alright, there we go. Order placed. I'm not going to tell you what it is, it'll be a surprise. But that should arrive in 2 days' time. I have to get that shipped over from out of state. So when that arrives, that should help make work on the farm a little bit easier. Right, speaking of the farm, let's head back and we'll check out the state of our sunflower crop, see if that's actually ready to harvest. Because that might be something that we do today. So as we approach back to the farm itself, you can see this is our sunflower crop here on the side. You can actually see, as a result, I just park here like this for a second. Don't have to worry about blocking traffic because these are farm roads, so it's just us that uses them. You can see what I was saying earlier about the terrain angle that's been fixed. You can see we've actually got planting going in different directions here. We've got some that's going that way, and we've got some that's going that way as well. You can see the kind of the grain of the soil going that way, and it's the same over here as well. You can see the direction of the seed bed that way along here. And before, this was all at a diagonal angle because it was applied with fertilizer, so and then fertilized as we carried on, so that was all at a diagonal angle. It's all now straight, it's all in the direction that we planted. And again, you can see it over here as well, so you can see where we did our headlands going up and down the field that way, and then as we move across a bit more, you can see where we actually changed direction and started seeding that way up and down the field. So that is the terrain angle that has been fixed. That is the biggest part of the most recent update on the map. Right, I need to scan this. Let's see how good this is. Oh, it's ready, look, 100% growth. It's way too damp yet. It's still 21% moisture. So it's still too damp for us to do any harvesting on, but our demo combine isn't coming with a sunflower header, and it's going to take another day or so at least for us to actually arrange for the right size header to do sunflowers, or at least a corn header to come and chop these down. So we have two small headers for our 1660s, so I think if that dries out quickly, so I'm hoping by sort of 11 o'clock it's going to dry out. Oh, this grass is ready for cutting again. We'll save that till later in the month, later in the season. We're not going to do that again so soon. But assuming that if by say 11 o'clock we can get everything sort of dried out enough to start harvesting, then I think today we'll actually harvest our sunflowers using our 1660s, because as I say, the demo isn't arriving with the right header to be able to harvest sunflowers, and we have two sunflower headers, or two corn headers, which we can cut down the sunflowers with already for our existing combines. So we may as well take advantage of that and use them. Let's just clean this tractor off because it is absolutely filthy. As you can see, there we go, nice and clean and shiny again. Just Just do the weeder as well, because that's pretty filthy, caked in mud. It has been well used over the last couple of days, so it's not surprising it's in it's particularly dirty. There we go. And we'll also take the skinny wheels off the Magnum and put some wide tyres on, I think. There we go. So let's pop open the door to the workshop. There we go. We'll park that up and we'll come back and we'll sort the wheels out on that in a little while. Seeing as we're still waiting to find out what's going on with our sunflower crop, what we are going to do is we're going to take the Puma and we're going to get that started on cultivating in those radishes. So now we get to break out our 6-metre sapphire cultivator that's been kind of sat there waiting to be used. This is pretty dirty as well. We'll give this a quick clean. Actually, there's not much point giving it a clean because it's only going to get dirty again. We'll clean it at the end of the day. Make sure it's washed off. But there's our 6-metre sapphire cultivator all folded up, ready to use. Get hooked up to this. And it does look good, that colour scheme with a case tractor. It really does. It just kind of really complements it. So now we should actually see the actually, I wonder if I'm going to destroy or damage the crop with white tyres. I don't know. It's only growth stage 1, so it should be okay. Yeah, it's okay. That's good. Now we should see this update on the soil textures in action. So I'm just going to... Yeah, there we go. Look, we couldn't do that before. It's definitely been fixed. Excellent stuff. Good to see that that's actually gone through with the update there. So let's get straightened up. Get the worker off and running. And have a fun little patch to tidy up at the end there, but there we go. Worker hired and running away, cultivating our radish in for us. So that's going to give us stage 2 fertilisation on this field. Stage 1 from planting the radish with fertiliser in the seeder, and then stage 2 from cultivating the radish into the soil. And then in spring, when we plant our next crop on this field, assuming that we don't go for a winter crop. No, because I'm thinking of changing geo over the winter, so we won't plant winter crops this time out, but this will be sort of ready for a fresh crop at the beginning of spring, and whatever we plant, once we plant it, we'll go straight to stage 3. So that's why we've gone for these cover crops on a couple of our fields, just to save us a little bit of prep time in the new year. So while our worker's doing that, I'm going to head back into the workshop and I'm going to spend the next sort of half an hour or so stripping those skinny wheels off and putting some proper sized thick chunky wheels on our Magnum. There we go, wheels are on the Magnum, and as you can see from the radar, the crop is now dry enough, I think, for us to actually go and actually do some harvesting on it. I've just been online placing an advert for some of our equipment. We're going to see if we can find a local buyer to come and give us a good price on that. If we can't get a good deal, then we'll have to take it down and see what we can get for it at the dealership. But hopefully we can get a good price from a local farmer who's in need of some equipment. I've listed the Swadro there for sale, so we'll be getting rid of that. I've just had too many issues with it, and I'd rather replace it with something a little bit better. That mystery item I was telling you about earlier, it's not it's not a new windrower. That's not the mystery item I was talking about. Obviously we have got one of those on order as well, and it is a Kuhn merger, but that's not the mystery item I was talking about earlier when I said I'd ordered something and have to wait for it to be shipped out of state. So let's take the combines over to the field. We'll get these up and running, and then we can use our Magnum as before to pull the auger while our worker is busy. Where is he? There he is, cultivating away and getting our radish into the ground. You can see he's missed that little patch there where we kind of just pulled the donut, so to speak, to try out the changes to the field textures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this guy off on the far end, because again the AI doesn't like getting too close to those dirt tracks that we have at the end that kind of run up along the end of this field. The AI tends to stop quite short when it gets close to those, so we're going to eliminate that as a problem by doing a couple of headlands at the far end to make sure that the AI will go up and harvest all the way across the field, and then once that's done, then we'll start working across the field and making sure that we're working as efficiently as we possibly can. We only have small headers and small combines, so it's going to take us a while to get this harvesting done, and obviously there's going to come a point where we're going to be running late into the night if we can't get it done quickly. I'd rather avoid that if we can. So let's get the first combine up and running. There we go. Let's head back, grab the second combine, and we'll do a strip along the bottom, because again, you get too close to telegraph poles and the AI can sometimes be a bit iffy on that. So look at this lovely cultivated soil here. This field is now pretty much going to be just dormant like this until spring, so looking forward to planting again in the spring. So we've got our little headland at this end done, so you can see now that the combine is going to go all the way through. He's going the wrong way. Let me just switch over to this combine a second. As soon as he gets clear of the crop, I'll turn him around. I'm breaking the field up into sections like this just because it's a big field and we've got small headers, and it's going to be quite demoralizing to see kind of a lack of progress, so as we work through the day. So by splitting the field up into smaller sections like this, it will just make it seem a little bit easier, I think, to kind of work our way through this, and we'll actually get more of a sense of achievement as we make more progress on the field. So oops, let's just turn that off. There we go. I'm actually going to run this one manually for a little while, and then when I need to, I'll switch out and put a worker in while I run the auger, which is parked up just further down the line like that, as you can see. I'm hoping I can kind of keep it in a straight line as we go through here. It's not a particularly big header, so it should be okay. There we go, and you can see, you can't see him, he's just the other side of our windscreen. There he is. There's our worker still cultivating away for us, and there's our other combine just out the window there. So this is going to be us now for probably the rest of the day, just working this field. It's a big field, and as I said, despite the fact we have two combines, we're talking tiny headers. I think 3 meters working width, not big at all. So yeah, it's going to take us many hours to harvest our sunflowers here. Done a couple of empty runs on both combines now. I've actually had to stagger them so that they're opposite ends of the fields, just so it makes it easier, so they don't both fill up at exactly the same time. I can empty one and then move around to the other and empty that one without them getting in each other's way, or both filling up at exactly the same point. And as before, have I got my front lights on? I have, yes, let's turn those off. As before, I'm not going to bother using the truck. I'm just going to bring the auger straight over to the grain point and tip in. So let's just change the pipe angle. Oh, that's as far as it'll change. Some of these augers, you can get a really steep angle on the pipe itself. This one, not quite so much, so I have to be a little bit more careful with my positioning, but there we go. We'll tip straight into the silo like this. Let's see. You can see our total going up. So we had probably, I think, about 6,000 or so maybe already in there. We'll see what we end up with as our total haul, our total available crop once we're done. There we go. So let's get this back and parked up on the field. I've also been kind of keeping an eye on my Puma and jumping in and doing some of the little fiddly bits where necessary. You can see I've cleaned up this corner here on the end of the field, and I had to manually restart him on this end of the field as well. I'm going to have to do that bit over there by the side of the warehouse, and no doubt there'll be some other little bits that'll need to be tidied as well as we go along. But almost finished this first strip as well, so you can see the progress that we're making. We've been running at this for a good couple of hours now, as you can see, but we are getting that kind of visual progress. And it's not just one strip, it's two strips that we're clearing, and it's keeping both combines on the screen at the same time as well, which is another nice little touch for having them staggered like this. So yeah, a little bit more of the field to go. As you can see, we are there. So we've cleaned out, once this strip in the middle has gone, we'll have cleaned out around about a third of the field. We've still got the rest of it to go. So it's still going to take us another 4 hours, I would say, maybe more, to actually clear the rest of this field. Probably about another 5 hours or so. I'm expecting us to get done somewhere between 7 and 8 o'clock this evening. So let's see how we go time-wise. This first field is now completely cleaned off. I've just finished tidying up around the edges where our worker has left a little bit of a mess. That's all tidied up. So now I'm going to get him started on this field as well. I'm going to manually do the headland over here, because obviously we've got the tree, which will cause some issues for the AI. And also it just gets this a little bit further away from the sunflower crop, so there's less risk of the combines driving onto the field. I mean, it's not going to damage this, but it just visually, I don't like to see, the AI turning onto the crop's web when it's not really all that necessary. So it just eliminates that from happening. And then again, we'll get the AI, we'll get a worker to run this field for us while we're taking care of the combines. They might be getting close to being emptied again soon, actually. So that's one pass. I'm going to do a second one just to be on the safe side. Just straying onto that grass field there a little bit. And there you can see that the combine did actually drive into the field a little bit as he was turning. So again, now that we don't have any crop there, it doesn't give that illusion of him actually driving all over the radish. Like I said, it's a first stage growth, so it never gets any bigger than this, and because it stays at stage 1, it never gets squashed by wheels if you have crop destruction on. But oh no, look at that, that's disappointing. There's a thin strip. There's a thin strip left. One single row of sunflowers. It's going to have to be harvested in a full pass. So, never mind. All right. That's just going to slow down how quickly I can transition that combine onto the next section. But it's not the end of the world. And there we go. It's the headlands done on this side of the field. We don't have to worry about putting one on the other side. So let's set him off and running and cleaning this field up here for us as well. Excellent stuff. There we go. Okay, so there we go. That's thin remaining strip left over. You can just see the other combine is starting to come back. He's going to need to be emptied pretty soon. So let's pick a new spot a bit further up. I think if I go about here, this should do it. I'll work this section of the field next. Go in there. And then I'll catch him on the way back down and he'll be ready to empty. Let's check the first one again. Oh yeah, he's getting close. He's at 78%. So let's make sure he gets emptied before he gets to the bottom. I do like watching combines running in unison like this, you know, when they're nice and close to each other. It's very hard without, you know, the help of clever scripting for us to be able to run them, you know, really close without a lot of constant management. And at least when you're a single player anyway, there's only so much you can do without having to constantly stop and start and reposition them all the time. But if you can give them a nice decent space like that, and then at least have them running and turning in the same direction at the end of each pass, then you know, you can kind of keep that illusion of them running reasonably close together without having to reposition them every 5 seconds. Obviously the bigger the headers, the harder and more frequent, the harder it becomes to keep that going, and the more often you have to actually get in there and change things around a little bit. But yeah, it's nice to see, I think, and I like to have different things moving on the screen at once. So you can see there, so we've got one combine there, and we've got our worker cultivating at the same time, we've got another combine running there. It's great to see lots and lots of vehicles moving around on your farm all at once. It really does make it feel like it's a proper farm when you can have multiple bits of equipment all operating at the same time in close proximity to each other. So this is where it's going to be a case of me taking manual control just to make sure it actually turns the way I need it to turn, which is left. There we go. And there should be just enough of a gap, I hope, for me. It's going to be tight, but hopefully there's going to be just enough of a gap for me to get in there and drive alongside. I mean, I could empty right now, but I'm going to take the risk. Let's reposition there. There we go. I'm going to have to be really careful driving down here. It's quite a big, wide tractor, so there is a chance that I might potentially squash. This is tight. This is really tight. Oh, no, look, there we do. Just squashed a little bit of crop. And I can't do it. It's too much. Oh, damn it. Okay. Okay. Lesson learned. Let's fire the worker. Let's pipe back in again. I have to back out. I'm just going to end up damaging a lot of crop. Even turning the wheel there, just to see the big front wheels just clipped a couple of bits of sunflower there and squashed some crop. So I should have played it safe. That's a disappointment. That's my own silly fault, really. Just trying to be too clever and not being able to pull it off. So and I've got to try and back out of here without damaging anything. I'm going into the crop again. Ugh, clunky. But we live and learn by our mistakes. So you can bet your bottom dollar I won't make that mistake again next time. I've learned from this experience. There we go. So we'll park it like that. And what I'm going to have to do as well now is hold this combine for a moment. Actually, I'll probably hold the other one. I'll let him get to the end, get him lined up, and then I'll stop him and I'll hold this one. So again, we get that end-to-end stagger. So they're not going to both need to be emptied at the same time. This one's still unloading, look. There we go. Right, so Let's oh, damn it again, squashing the crop. Stop doing that. I'm having one of those days today, I think. Right, there we go. So combine back up and running, and when it gets to the end, then I'll get the other one restarted and have them running in opposite directions. So again, it just makes it easier for unloading. So with this thin strip just being cleaned out here, this is the last line on this second set that we've cut into the field. So we've got about a third of the field remaining, I think. I think it's about a third. Let's just zoom out and have a look. Just make sure I'm in a straight line before I do that. There we go. Yeah, that's what we've cleared off now, and that's what's remaining. So we're going to reposition this harvester sort of about halfway down that section and trim that out. But as you can see, time is marching on. It's now 7:10. Almost finished with the cultivating as well. Our Puma is still on the field somewhere. I think he's at the other end of the field. So we should see the Puma in just a moment. And he's just in front of us, right at the very edge of our draw distance. There we go, that's that section complete. Just watching to see the Puma come into shot. Yeah, you can. There he is, just materialising into shot there. There's our Puma. So we've still got a little bit of cultivating left to go as well, as you can see. Not much. That's almost completely done. And this is all that we have left to harvest on the sunflowers. So this is taking up the rest of our day. Is making sure that all this gets done, but it's something that needs to be done. If I start this about here, I think. There we go. And then I'll have to manually empty this when we get to the top of the field. But as soon as we get this done, it'll be sort of packed up, ready for bed, and then early tomorrow morning will be the arrival of our demo combine. And if our soybean crop isn't grown, which it isn't at the moment, then we will still have our barley field that we'll be able to actually harvest. So we will still be able to use our combine tomorrow, and then we might have to hold on to it another day or two just so that we can get our soybean crop harvested as well, because I think that's really going to speed things up. And as I say, we can kind of get a baseline comparison between how long it took me to harvest field 35 against how long it's going to take me to harvest field 30 with the new combine, because they are similar sized. They're not identical, but similar kind of sized fields with similar crops as well. Wheat and barley have similar yields, so it will give us a good kind of indication as to how much time and effort we'll be able to save with a single new combine against two of these small ones. So looking forward to trying that out there. Also, the other combine is almost full as well. Damn it, they're both they're both going to reach the end about the same time, and I need to empty both of them, so this is going to be awkward. I'm going to have to manually stop this one at the end of the row, I think. There we go, and pipe out. Just turn the engine off for a second. And we'll get to the top. Again, we'll do a pipe out at the top. Empty into the combine. Into the auger wagon. And then run down and do the other combine. It's getting dark as well. It's starting, you can see the sun is setting there in the distance. Starting to get a little bit darker. You can see a little bit more sort of light disappearing, and the shadows are starting to get quite long again. Don't want to bring that all the way over, do I? Let's turn around. Oh, that track's really bumpy. This combine needs to go on the end of that patch there, so I'll leave it like that. We jump into our auger, pulled by the Magnum. Empty this one here, and then we can get that combine up and running again, and then we'll do the same at the other end, and then I'll take over manual cultivating to finish off the bottom of field 43, because we're up to that bit where it's now the AI is going to stop working anyway because the field's getting too narrow. So I'll manually do that while the two combines are running up and down and starting to fill up again. And then, yeah, as I say, we're almost there at the end of the day, almost finished. And I really am curious to see just how much of a haul we're going to get on this sunflower field here, see just how big our crop yield is going to be. So we'll do a sort of a final tally at the end. Remember, we started with around about 6,000 litres or so already in storage as part of our starting crops. So it'll be quite nice to see just how much we've been able to pull off the field. If we take 6,000 off whatever we've got in storage, that'll give us a good indication of exactly how much sunflower we've harvested. And there we go, this is the last little bit of the oilseed radish that needs to be done as well. So one more pass once I get to the top of the field to come back and get this strip in the middle here that I'm leaving. If I say in the middle, you know, on my right hand side at the moment, that'll get taken out in a single pass. So we've done quite a lot so far. Obviously we've got our combines back up and running, as you can see. We've already done a large chunk of the field. We've weeded our grass field that we mowed and baled yesterday. We've also cultivated 2 fields of oilseed radish into the ground, and these 2 fields are now both ready to be left alone until the spring when we can plant new crops. We'll still need to sort of do something with that field there. We could run the risk of putting in oilseed radish, but don't forget, I bought that slurry spreader and I need a reason to use that. So that sunflower field still being harvested, that's what we're going to spread slurry on, and we'll probably do that tomorrow once we've got the barley harvest out of the way. So we'll spread some slurry on that field there. We might even do it on our barley field as well. Depends how much digestate we're going to have left over, because that's a big old field that we're harvesting away on there, and I don't know if the 161,000 litres or so that we've got so far is going to be enough. And also, I think tomorrow at some point our bales might actually be fermented and ready for us to actually look at selling. So that's something else we might be doing tomorrow as well, is selling another round of silage bales, raising some more cash. So that'll be quite good as well. Alright, let's get this back to the farm, washed, put away, and then we can concentrate on just getting that harvest finished off. So I've just emptied the first of our combines because it was almost full. I don't know, can we get the entire strip? No, there's going to be a thin strip left on the second one, so this one's going to need an empty. It's not going to have enough space, I don't think, to do down and back up again, so we'll empty it on the way down, and then we'll have to, you know, empty it again once it's finished. A couple more passes, I think, 2 more passes for the other combine as well, 1 up, 1 down. So we're not too far from being finished on this field now. I think we're probably looking at about an 11 o'clock kind of finish. It's around about 9:45 now, so we're getting there, almost done. And this is it. This is the very last bit of the field. I've just literally put the other combine away in the shed, and that's the very last bit of sunflowers harvested off the field. So we'll unload that into our auger. There we go. And then what we'll do is we'll take that and go and stick that in the silo, see exactly how much we've got in total, and take around 6,000 off that, so we can see, you know, how much we've been able to pull off this field. There we go. Actually, let's use the dirt track. Why not? That's what it's there for. I'd forgotten just how bumpy this thing is. we go. We'll be attacking that barley tomorrow with our loaner combine, and maybe the soybean as well, if that grows in time. You can see what the sky looks like. I mean, we've got some stars that you can see. If I were to get out and actually take a look, you can see we've got a really nice sort of night sky here. It's a little different on the PC version. They got the full lighting engine from Bullet Bill for this map, and you get this huge corona of stars, and you can see like gas clouds in there as well, almost like a galaxy that you can kind of see in the sky. It looks really cool, but we don't have that on console. We just have the regular night sky. But it still looks beautiful. There we go. So that's the last of the sunflower going in. So let's jump into the menu and see what we've got. Still going up. So we're around about 80,000 so far pulled off the field. 83, 84, about 86, 87, 88, 89, 90,000. That's not bad. 90,000 litres of sunflower off that field. That's a pretty impressive haul. I'm quite pleased with that. You know, and that'll be worth a decent amount of money when we come to sell it. It's certainly going to be a couple of trips for our tipper. Our tipper holds like 47,000 litres, so that's 2 separate trips to sell that. When is the best time to sell sunflowers? Actually, we could probably sell right now and get a pretty decent price, but the best time is going to be sort of mid-spring by the look of it. So we might hold on to that and might actually possibly, if the price is good, sell that tomorrow to raise some funds depending on how the combine demo goes. So yeah, we have some options with this crop. We can sell it straight away, or we can actually hold off until next year. Let's just give this a quick clean while we contemplate that. And you can see it actually got finished a little bit earlier than I thought as well. It's 10:30. One of the combines is already tucked away in the shed, the other one needs to be brought over. But we got done a little bit earlier than I thought, which is good. Gives us a chance to really rest up overnight, and hopefully the combine will arrive nice and early in the morning. So looking forward to giving that a try out. And based on how successful our little demo run goes over the next 2 days, we may well be buying one of those at the end of autumn, heading into winter. So I'm just going to plonk the Magnum back in here. There we go, and hopefully we'll get a buyer for our Swadro as well, so we'll be able to sell that off nice and quick. We have got a merger turning up. It's either going to be tomorrow or the day after that's going to arrive. Let's just get the lights on in here. There we go. I'm going to quickly teleport over to the other combine by doing that. There we go. That's a quick and easy way of doing it. Engine on, fold it up, and we'll get this in the shed. So yeah, there we go. That's it from me. We've finished another harvest. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, you can hit me up on Facebook at facebook.com/JimBobPlaysGames, or on Twitter at JBPG_JimBob. Both of the links to that are in my video description, so feel free to check those and give those a click. And I will see you with the next episode of Lone Oak with our demo combine very soon.